Imagine you're just scrolling on your phone, swiping through your morning news feed, and you see a headline that makes your jaw drop. Something so shocking, it just seems unreal. Well, for some people, that exact thing just happened.
And here's the thing, it wasn't a mistake by a journalist or some typo from a publication. It was something new, something that points to a much bigger shift in how we're getting our information. Which brings us to the big question we're going to tackle in this explainer. What actually happens when an AI rewrites the news?
This is what can happen. This headline actually appeared on people's phones, pushed to them directly by Google. It's horrifying, it's wildly inflammatory, and thankfully, it's completely and utterly false. So, how in the world did it get there?
Okay, let's dive into this. Turns out, that headline wasn't written by a human at all. It was generated by an AI as part of what Google later tried to downplay as a small UI experiment. The idea was to automatically rewrite news headlines to make them shorter. But the result was, well, you saw it. Chaos.
So just to be clear where this was all happening, this experiment was running in the Google Discover feed. That's that screen on a lot of Android phones you get when you swipe right from your home screen, a personalized stream of articles. Except in this case, Google wasn't just suggesting articles, it was secretly changing their titles without telling a soul.
Now, what's kind of wild here is that if this whole idea sounds like a disaster waiting to happen, it's because it is. This isn't some brilliant, groundbreaking concept. In fact, another tech giant has already tried this exact same thing. And yeah, it failed spectacularly.
Yep, just last year, Apple rolled out AI summarized headlines in Apple News. It immediately started spitting out incorrect information, and it got so bad that the BBC actually had to officially complain. Within a month, Apple had quietly killed the feature. And yet, here we are, 1 year later, watching Google walk right into the same exact trap.
Right, so this isn't a new problem. It's a well-documented failure from one of their biggest competitors. Which leads us to the real head-scratcher here. Why? Why on earth would Google repeat it? What is going on that leads to these kinds of decisions?
To figure that out, we've got to talk about why this is such a fundamentally bad idea for an AI in the first place. See, the problem is that a headline isn't just a short sentence. It's a very specific, very human craft. A good headline has to juggle a bunch of things at once. It's got to accurately summarize the core of a story, be catchy, be factually correct, and most importantly, and this is the big one, it has to understand nuance and context. And those are two things that AI, right now, is just notoriously bad at.
And this is where you see the huge difference. A human journalist summarizes a story. They read it, they understand the key point, and they craft a headline that reflects that meaning. A chatbot doesn't summarize, it just shortens. It chops up text, grabs keywords, and mashes them together. And that right there is the key insight. These tools aren't thinking, they're just matching patterns, and that is a really dangerous substitute for actual understanding when it comes to the news.
Let's go back to that first shocking example. The original article was about a clever hack in the video game Baldur's Gate 3. It had nothing to do with real children. But the AI, with zero context, zero understanding of the world, just smashed together some keywords it saw and created a monstrously false accusation.
And it gets even more absurd. Here's another one. The original story was explicitly about the fact that the price of the new Steam Machine console had not been revealed. The AI's genius summary? Steam Machine price revealed. It literally generated a headline that said the exact opposite of what the article was about. I mean, you can't make this stuff up.
So after this mess went public, Google obviously had to do something. You might think they'd just, turn off the dumb idea machine, but their solution, oh man, their solution was almost as bizarre as the problem itself.
So yeah, they definitely reacted to the backlash and tweaked the feature. They didn't get rid of the AI summaries, nope, but they did change how they worked.
So what was this fix? Well, get this. The AI would create a summary of an article from, say, The Verge. But the link? The link would take you to a totally different and unrelated story on the same topic at IGN. So now the headline doesn't even match the article you're about to read. It's a brand new flavor of broken.
And Google's official line on all this? Well, a representative gave this super dry corporate speak quote, calling it a small UI experiment to make details easy to digest, which is just a fancy way of completely ignoring the fact that their experiment was actively creating and spreading misinformation.
So let's zoom out for a second. This isn't just one clumsy experiment from one company. This is a perfect snapshot of a much bigger trend. We are smack in the middle of this frantic, high-stakes arms race where every tech company feels this insane pressure to cram AI into everything, like yesterday.
And here's the crucial takeaway from this whole affair. This mad dash to innovate means companies are just launching stuff without thinking through the most obvious flaws. It shows that even a very public, very recent failure by a company like Apple isn't enough to stop a competitor from making the exact same mistake. The drive to be first is just steamrolling the need to be right. And for us, the people using these products, the result is a fire hose of inaccurate and misleading information delivered right to our home screens.
And that leaves us with a really big question to think about as this AI revolution just keeps picking up speed. In this frantic race to innovate, are the biggest companies in the world starting to think that being new is just better than being right?